So I'm just going to scan all of my tools and items and move them around on the scanning bed and see what happens. I had a lot of fun with this pair of scissors. I think this is really cool. This is the same pair of scissors but in lots of different forms. And you just kind of keep moving it around until you find something that's visually exciting to look at. Now I made 2 copies of each. I'm thinking that I'm going to glue them together so that I can just be sure that it's as dark as possible and it won't let through any UV light. Now that I've glued all the pieces together, I'm going to do a test print on some scrap fabric to see how it turns out with different levels of exposure to sunlight before I do the final printing on the pair of pants. I've only really got one shot to do it on the pair of pants, so I want to make sure that I test it and do it properly. When I'm choosing a fabric, I want to choose a fabric that has a similar constitution to the pair of pants. I think I'll use this for the test fabric because it's probably the closest that I can get to the cotton pants. These are how my 2 tests turned out. This is the first one. I left this out for 25 minutes. This one I left out for 35 minutes and the image is much crisper. It's a little darker around the edges and it feels way more defined than this one. So it took way longer than I expected. The bottle said 20 minutes for a cloudy day or 10 minutes in full sun. But I'm glad that I did the test because I think that about 35 minutes is going to get me the best result. So today's the day. I traced out 2 legs out of cardboard and put the pants in them so that I can do the front without the dye going through to the back. Because the dye sets in UV light and it's important to wash it as soon as the printing has finished, I have to do the pants in 2 halves. So I'm going to do the front half and I'm going to put it in the washing machine and then I'm going to do the back half. So I have a bunch of photo frames and I'm going to take out the glass. Actually, it's acrylic. I think it's just plastic. This flat clear surface will help to hold down the transparency sheets and keep them pressed onto the fabric. So if I can hold it down onto the fabric as much as possible, I'll get the cleanest print. The printing process itself is going to be a little bit chaotic because it's all about the timing. So I'm going to explain it before I do it so that we can walk through it together and I'll just film where I can. I'm going to spray water onto the pants so that when I put the dye on top, it'll bleed and spread out as evenly as possible. I'm wearing gloves and an apron because I don't want my clothes or my hands to turn yellow. Then I put the transparency sheets down the way that I want them, and I put the clear acrylic glass on top, and then I carry the whole thing outside to sit it in the sun and put a timer on. So the designs on the back look great. Some of them are really crisp, and then there are others that are kind of blurred and it's hard to see the edges and see what shapes they actually are. I think that's because I diluted the dye too much. So because I added too much water, it wasn't as dark and I don't get the crisp outlines that I was looking for. But some of these designs turned out looking really, really cool. I'm really excited to do the front half. So I'm going to do the front pretty much exactly the same way, except I won't be diluting it with as much water. I also think that the undefined edges on some of the designs could be due to the fact that the transparent sheets were sitting about 1 centimeter or 2 off from the actual fabric, because of the bulkiness of the jeans, they were not lying completely flat. So I'm going to attempt cutting some of the designs out so that I can fit them more comfortably onto the jeans and hold them flat to the fabric, and see if that improves the quality of the print as well. Worst case scenario, it just looks like I have a pair of yellow tie-dye jeans, so. So I cut the transparent images out, and they're definitely sitting a little bit more comfortably on the pants. To say I'm obsessed with these is an understatement. They turned out exactly as I envisioned them. I'm so glad that I did so much testing, especially because I was so unfamiliar with this dye, and I wanted to make sure that I got it right. I hope you give it a try. It's a great way to make something that's a completely unique, one-of-a-kind piece for your wardrobe. Also, the YouTube algorithm gods have chosen this video for you. From my end, it's just a setting where I can choose the best video for each individual viewer, so that feels like obviously the thing that I want to do. I want to give you something that you will be interested in. So, this may interest you. See you there.